Greetings, and welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I am your host, Coach Charlene. Hey, I wanted to give you a little intro. I interviewed Dr. Paulina Van, and it was an amazing, courageous, compassionate conversation. And I wanted to give a little intro because I'm going to break her session up into a few different episodes because it was such a rich conversation. So, this particular episode, you're going to get to know who Dr. Paulina Van is, and you're also going to get to hear what happens when you come out of hiding and stop covering so that you can be your true, authentic self. So stay tuned for the message. Greetings, and welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I am your host, Coach Charlene, and I am extremely excited today because I have Dr. Paulina Van in the house. So welcome to the show, Dr. Paulina.
Well, thank you so much. And I am honored to be here, and I cannot wait until we start talking.
Yes, me either. I wanted to just kind of say how I know Dr. Van. I am African American nurse leader, and I'm always looking for people that look like me that are beyond where I am so I can have something to target because we know that representation matters. So I saw her one day. I think I might even saw you on LinkedIn first before I met you in person at the Caritas community gathering that we had in Colorado. And I was just like so blown away and amazed at her poise and her power that came out of her. So she just really did something for my heart and for my spirit as a leader, being able to see others doing and crushing it, basically, Dr. Paulina. So before my okay, that's the part of the stardom. So let me go into why. My why behind this podcast, Dr. Van, was in 2020 when the murder of George Floyd happened. I was in extreme distress. I mean, I normally don't allow myself to look at the news at all, but for some reason I was drawn toward it and I saw it. And it sent me into this really dark place because, I start thinking about, man, that could be my brother, that could be my uncle, that could be my husband, that could be my son. And so I went into prayer. And so when I went into prayer, I heard the words, what you do in this moment will determine your destiny and dictate your future. And so I knew I had to move from anger and frustration to action and impact. And so, thus, when the moment chooses you, I believe that I was called to that moment in 2020 to begin to share my story. And I have been sharing my story of some of the challenge and the racism that I've experienced as I've gone up the ladder in corporate America. So that was my why behind the show, because I think there's moments that choose us to call us into them so that we can disrupt, we can transform, we can make better, or whatever it is that we're called to do. So that's what that's the story behind the name of the show. So I would love to hear from you what type of moments that you have for us, and I'm sure you have plenty.
Before I respond, I just want to say that many of us, or maybe all of us, are called, but not all of us respond. And you responded. And so we are very fortunate that you did respond because now we have this platform to come to talk about these moments that change our lives. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Charlene.
Yes, thank you. And Dr. Van, can you tell us a little bit about you first before you jump into telling us about your moment? I'd love to hear about you. I'm going to place your bio in the description, but I'd love to hear who you are for the
Oh
audience
my.
reference.
Okay. So I'll start with I'm a mother, I'm a wife, um, I'm a fur baby mom of Bengals. Um, my purpose in life, I believe, I is to care, and that's what I do naturally. And sometimes I care more, and then don't take care of myself enough. But it brings me joy, and so that's part of who I am. I am currently a full professor at Samuel Merritt University in Oakland, California. I've had a long history with that institution, and I'm a legacy in the hospital. Um, I have earned a master's and doctorate degree from the University of San Francisco. I'm sorry, no, my undergrad is from the University of San Francisco. My graduate degrees, MS and PhD, are from the University of California, San Francisco. And I've spent over 2 decades as an executive level leader in the hospital. I opened a nursing home care agency. I've consulted for the California State Health Services in the Maternal Child Health Division. And then I became aware that African American women lose their pregnancies at a higher rate than any other rate. And so I'm a fixer. So I decided I was going to go back and earn my doctorate degree to conduct research to solve this problem. Although I wasn't able to do that because there's so many tentacles, what I did focus on and what I have focused on for the last 25 years is how women cope and heal after losing a pregnancy. So that's been my research. It's taken me around the world. I developed from my data theory about how women cope after pregnancy loss. So that's something else I can talk about. But it gets me back to what my purpose is, caring, and healing has been kind of in the background, but now it has surfaced. I'm an author. So we'll get into that as we talk. But I have been a nurse, like I said, for 50 years, almost 50 years, and I wouldn't change anything. There's not one moment I would change, even the challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And you do have a rich history. I had an opportunity to go on your website and check you out a little bit more. And I just was so blessed to read all of the contributions that you've had to humanity, to the healthcare industry and everything. And so now I'd love to hear about, any of those moments that caught you that you believe that can inspire other people to
Hmm.
respond to their moment. Just like you said, you do have to respond to it. It's not necessarily the easiest thing because even when I had to share my story, I had to be very vulnerable and brutally honest. And I was not honest, Dr. Van, for probably 20 years. I've seen it and I witnessed it, but I didn't feel like I was empowered to say anything about it. And so now with the voice being found, it's so much easier for me to step into it because I feel like I have the strength and the transformation and the disruptive spirit that says you can no longer watch this happen and not say anything. So I'd love to hear some of your moments.
Sure. And I think the one that I'm really going to illuminate really connects with hiding. And I hid for 50 years. So
Wow.
let me just share that. I've had, of course, many moments. I had two near death experiences. One when I was age 12, an undercurrent almost took me out into the ocean at Coney Island. A second was after abdominal
Oh,
surgery. I asked the surgeon to keep my my spinal the line, yeah, my spinal line. That's not what it's called, but um, connected overnight for pain control. And either there was a pump error or human error, but I was over sedated. And
mm,
my heart, though, wants me to talk about the day that the first poem came to me. And I was able to think about, in that poem, think about and write about years of childhood trauma. And so these three incidents that I share, has transformed my life. And, I really believe God reminded me that He chose me and a life He wanted for me, and that I had more life to live. I have a purpose of why He gave me life. And so that's my moment.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yes, I would love to hear more about that. Before you kind of unpack some of those moments, why do you think? And first of all, you heard her mention about the poems because she's the author too of this beautiful book that has poems in it, which I'm sure we're going to get to as well. But as we talk about, like you mentioned earlier, about really responding to your moment, why do you think more people don't respond to their
Okay.
moment?
Okay. So if I might share why why I might not respond. Um,
Yes, that's
it's
perfect.
yeah, and so I'd say first of all, fear of failure because you're kind of navigating uncharted waters. Feeling that I lack the knowledge and the skill. Also, how others will view me if I take this step. And then actually, I'm a procrastinator. And so procrastination would delay me or hold me back due to I want things to be perfect. And, you know,
Yes.
people and the world aren't perfect. So, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I just had to like get that out there. I wanted to kind of see what your forethoughts were about that. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about maybe one of those moments that you were mentioning. Can you
Sure,
unpack it a little bit more to kind of give us some nuggets?
sure. Absolutely. So, um, this moment was quite unpredictable. I was at my passion and my affinity is towards pregnant and parenting women and their children. And I was at this community event in a home in downtown Oakland, and it was a group of us from the community um, brainstorming how we can impact certain aspects of policy, local policy related to pregnancy loss. And it was being facilitated by two young African American women, and they began the session by just having us be quiet, have a quiet moment, and then after that moment, they asked us to write for 3 minutes, whatever our heart wanted to say. And so what I wrote was about my childhood traumas, and it's called It Hurts. And I had not spoken about that in at least 50 years. I hid it, I was ashamed of it. But in the background, it worked on impacting my relationships and how I viewed myself. And so it was at that point that my heart opened. I had the courage to be aware and touch and feel these years of childhood trauma. And the words were just so powerful. But you know what? After that, poems started coming to me, and it's really, I just think it's just a sacred um, experience that I had over and over again.
Yes.
But I could be cooking, I could be sitting having dinner with my husband, I could be working on grading papers, and this feeling, this warmth would come in my heart area, my chest area, and then go up through my head. And then a title and the first four phrases of a poem would appear. And so I could do
Wow.
nothing else but to come to my computer and just type it all out. And the first book that I published, September 2021, has 100 healing poems. And it's almost like an ethnographic, yeah. And it uses experiences in my life to explain how others can heal from these situations. And it's so interesting because they are in poetic, lyrical form. They have an anaphora style or anaphoric style, meaning there is repetition, of the main theme. And if you read the title and you read the last few sentences or uh, phrases, you get the message in each of these poems. And what's incredible is that before this started happening to me, before I opened my heart, got the courage to talk about healing and heal, I didn't read poetry, I didn't own poetry, and I didn't like poetry. So I know that this is not from me. I'm just a vessel.
Yes.
And I just believe my creator has given me these lines, these poems to heal me, but also help others heal.
Wow, that's really powerful. So when you were in that session and it came to you then, so that session was that a session that was designed for something like that to happen, like a healing circle, perhaps, or it just happened?
No, no, it was about developing policy. And I was the only nurse in the group or medical person in the group.
Wow.
It was about developing policy to improve the care that women received, pregnant women received in the county, in the specific county in the Bay
Wow.
Area. And so it was, I don't know why it happened then and among that group, but that's where it happened. Now, I want to say also that I was about a month into my Caritas coach program uh, with the
Hmm.
Watson Caring Science Institute, Caring Science developed by Dr. Jean Watson, my mentor. Well, we all know she is a major
Yes.
uh, hitter in this field of caring and love. And so part of that journey was looking inside of myself. So I'm thinking as I reflect, because I haven't thought about this, but as I reflect, that month long immersion into myself may have been the the initial foundation for me to be able to open up and reveal what I needed to heal.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. I was just thinking because when as I did my Caritas journey, I began to also I call them aesthetics expressions because they're kind of like spoken word type of things. I think I shared one with you at the event. But when I saw your book, I was so inspired that I actually started writing them down and keeping track of them. So I really am, I mean, you are absolutely amazing. I know you're like, stop it. But you really are, because like for you to jump out and do these things, you're just like doing them. There's nothing holding you back. I'm sure there's plenty of barriers and things like that, but to see someone actually press through and fight to get something done is absolutely, and it's an inspiration to me, and it just gives me so much hope and so much kind of like that passion, that fire to keep going and doing what I know that I'm commissioned and called to do. So thank you for your contributions again. So, what about another moment? Because you described three moments. Are you okay with unpacking another one of those moments?
Yeah, I
I'm
can.
learning so much from these moments. Okay, thank you.
I can, but I have to be real. If I shed a tear, then please embrace that because
Oh,
those near death
absolutely.
experiences, whenever I recount them, um, it takes me back physically, emotionally. I can hear, I can feel, I can smell um,
Mm,
the situation. So let me talk about the first one, which is shorter. When I was 12 years old, my best friend and I, Roberta, were swimming well, we were in the ocean. I didn't know how to swim. She took swimming lessons. And um, my mom, single parent, well, she wasn't a single parent, but she was raising us by herself. And she couldn't afford um, the extras. And I could go on. I mean, we didn't even have the basics, but what
Yeah.
was important for her was that we had a good education. So all three of us were in private schools. I don't know how she did it on one salary, but I know that other things we didn't have, such as food and clothes, etc. But anyway, so Roberta and her family would take me on their little mini vacations, and we were at Coney Island Beach in New York. And so she says, come on out, and jump the waves. And we were doing that, and I had gotten out into the ocean to about my neck, and then an undercurrent grabbed me and was taking me out to the ocean. And so I don't know how I did this or how I knew to do it, but I just relaxed. And I just said, okay, I'm going up to heaven. And then it let me go. And I bobbed back up, and my friend said, just swim, just swim. I didn't know how to swim, but I just started moving my arms and kicking my feet, and it took me back to the shore. Um, So, what that
Wow.
has done for me, though, in my life is that I am, to this day, I still have a fear. I have taken swimming lessons because I was married to someone who was like a fish. And so I did take swimming lessons, but I can't swim unless I can perceive I can touch the bottom uh, of the pool. So I stay in
Yes.
the 3 feet water. That's what I do.
Yes. Yes. That's actually me too. I stay there because I'm not really a great swimmer, but I really appreciate you sharing that. I know that's a really hard moment and vulnerable moment. I definitely don't want to, overshare if you don't want to. I'm totally
Oh,
okay with
no,
that as well. But the,
it's okay.
okay, but
Yeah.
that is what was really beautiful about that because I'm all about God and how when you relaxed, He carried you. That was the beautiful thing to your story for me because versus fighting, relax and let that flow take you. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. I'm so glad that you made it through that because you're who you are today because of all of the different experiences that you've had. So I'm just so deeply honored that you would share that for us. Wow, what a powerful story of survival from Dr. Paulina Van. We had a wonderful, compassionate, courageous conversation. And you know what? This was just the first episode. We have 2 more episodes to go, so stay tuned. And she'll be sharing another experience that she's had, as well as some of her poetry from her new book, Regala Healing. So stay tuned, and you are in for a treat as we go a little bit deeper into her story. Thank you so much for listening to When the Moment Chooses You. I'll see you on the next episode.